Okay, here comes our last topic, giftedness. I had written it in the mail, I guess. I will not have any video on physical disabilities and deafness and hearing, and deafness and blindness. And actually, you won't be responsible for them in your final exam, okay? Maybe you can just have some multiple choice objective questions, but as an essay question you won't have it, but maybe in objective questions there may be some questions about physical disabilities and deafness and blindness. For giftedness, let's again start with its definition. It has no clear-cut definition actually, and there are some disagreements about definition, and they are primarily due to the differences on opinion regarding the following questions. First question is that, in what ways do students with a special gift or talent excel? And the questions, as you see here, are: do they excel in general intelligence? So will we take into consideration only their intelligence scores, or insight, creativity, special talents, and achievements in academic subjects, or in a valued line of work, moral judgment, or some combination of factors? Perhaps, according to this view, nearly everyone is gifted in some way or other. But what kind of giftedness is important for us? What kind of giftedness should be encouraged? Okay, this is the first question that confuses the professionals on giving up a definition on giftedness actually. And what about the measurement of giftedness? Is it measured by standardized tests of aptitude and achievement, or teacher judgments, past performance in school or everyday life, or some other means? If it's measured in any one particular way, some individuals will be overlooked. If past performance is the test, giftedness is being defined after the fact. What measurement techniques are valid and reliable? What measurements will identify those students who have the potential to develop special gifts or talents? Think about Fazıl's side. Is he gifted? Is he talented? What about measuring his giftedness? Was he successful at school? Was he a successful student? Or was he only successful at music? But what about the definition of success then? Okay? So, the third question that comes up is, to what degree must a student excel to be considered to have a special gift or talent? Must a student do better than 50%, 80%, 90% or 90%, 99% of the comparison group? The number of individuals with special gifts will vary depending on the criterion, right? Forget the giftedness. What percentage of the population should be considered to have special gifts? We don't know. And so why doesn't it go? Okay, who should be in the comparison group? Should the comparison group comprise every student of the same chronological age, the other students in the same school, all students of the same ethnic or racial origin, or some other grouping? Almost everyone is the brightest or most capable in some groups, right? What group should set this standard? Okay, fifthly, why should students with special gifts be identified? Good question. What social or cultural good is expected to come from their identification? Will the government utilize from it? Or will the parents? Will someone's ego be fostered by their identification? Or is it important to meet individual students' educational needs? Are national economic or security issues at stake? Does identifying these individuals as gifted maintain an elite group or social power? In most cases, yes. So, by providing special educational opportunities for these students, Will others reap personal or social benefits? Yes. What criteria will be used to judge whether identifying students with special gifts or talents pays off? Okay, lots of issues. Okay, lastly, giftedness or talent, like an intellectual disability, is whatever we choose to make it. Someone can be considered gifted or intellectually disabled one day and not the next day, simply because an arbitrary definition has been changed. The definitions that professionals use have no inherent tightness or wrongness. Some definitions might be more logical, more precise, or more useful than others, but we are still unable to say that they are more correct in some absolute sense. We have to struggle with the concepts of gift and talent and the reasons for identifying individuals with gifts or talents before we can make any decisions about definition. We have friends, and it's almost obvious that their son is thinking differently from his peers. While most of the other boys at the age of 7 like playing football, playing with cars, etc. I'm not after stereotyping any child, but this is generally the way their development goes. This child knows about the space, all the technical parts of a drone, okay? And it's obvious that he's thinking differently. But he took him to BSAM. Maybe you know it, even some of the 18 Americans. This is a place for a gifted child, and in order to get there, you should get a high score from Risk 4. But in Risk 4, he didn't achieve anything, okay? He wasn't defined to be a gifted child. But obviously, he's doing and thinking something differently. So, when you see and observe children just catching up their uniqueness and their differences, and to observe whether that difference interferes with child's learning at a school setting, and what could be done to foster the ability or talent of the child to proceed is important. Remember that at the beginning of our class, I always insisted on focusing on the abilities of any child. So, whomever you are working with, please catch the uniqueness of that child, of that person. Everybody is different from each other. If you can catch it, then the child will not be lost. And if he is gifted, talented, or if he has ability, whatever you call it, he will develop. He will follow his potential. He will convert his performance, his potential to a performance, okay? So try to catch it. Here you see lots of definitions related to giftedness, etc. I won't go in details of these. You can read these definitions, but see that we have at least these 6 definitions to correspond to these children. Some refers to cognitive abilities, some refers to the ability to express novel and useful ideas, etc. Just know that these are used mostly interchangeably based on the child's ability level or the uniqueness he or she displays, okay? But in general, you can know that we have this Sternberg, and he has described a theory of intelligence that suggests 3 main kinds of giftedness. These are analytic, synthetic, and practical. In practice, actually, we don't use these definitions very strictly, but just know that there is this theory of intelligence, okay? Analytic giftedness involves being able to take a problem apart, to understand the parts of a problem, and how they are interrelated, which is a skill typically measured by conventional intelligence tests. For example, think of a child who is breaking down a car or a remote control into pieces and tries to understand the connections between little wires. Okay, they have analytic giftedness. And for synthetic giftedness, it involves insight, intuition, creativity, or adaptedness at coping with novel situations, skills that are typically associated with high achievement in the arts and sciences. Think of as a side here. And for practical giftedness, involves applying analytic and synthetic abilities to the solution of everyday problems, the kinds of skills that characterize people who have successful careers. But practically arranging, organizing, anything. Most leaders may have this practical giftedness. Okay? And when we consider the origins of giftedness, actually, as in most of the developmental differences, we see that there may be some genetic and other biological factors, such as neurological functioning and nutrition, that may set the basis of giftedness, and there may be some social factors, such as family, school, peer group, and community. Actually, we are all combinations of the influences of course, our genetic inheritances and social and physical environments. This is like nature and nurture debates. Okay. If the child's learning is rewarded from the environment, and if there is stimulation for the child to develop any types of giftedness, and those children will have more chance to display any talent, any ability, etc. For identification, most common methods, of course, include IQ testing, IQ tests, standardized achievement test scores, teacher nominations, parent nominations, peer nominations, self-nominations, and evaluations of student work or performance. But this may be wrong, because while I was working at a private school as a school counselor, at second grade there was a gifted child who was diagnosed with an intelligence test, of course, this guy in that time. And actually he was very underachiever. He wasn't successful. You should see in Turkish maths, etc. He had very low scores, okay? But in BSM, he was accepted to BSM. He was working with like 6th grade, 8th grade students to form a bomb, bomb. He was working on its design and its formation. So these evaluations on student performance may not be always may not give always the right picture. Okay. Hunsaker and Callahan propose 8 general identification principles to help ensure fairness. Actually, you can read these. Just read it and skip it then. Okay. This is important. Psychological and behavioral characteristics of gifted child. Giftedness has been recognized in some form in every society throughout recorded history. In many societies, individuals with special gifts have been stereotyped in one of the ways, either as physically weak, socially inept, narrow in interests, and prone to emotional instability and early decline, or in the opposite direction. And also, They may be stereotyped as a superior in intelligence, physics, social attractiveness, achievement, emotional stability, and moral character. I will give an example in Turkish now. Biraz önce bahsettiğim bu çocuğun sınıfında bir tane daha gifted olarak, üstün yetenekli olarak tanımlanmış ve bilseme kabul edilmiş başka bir çocuk daha vardı. Fiziksel özelliklerinden bahsedeceğim. Hiçbir şekilde bir stereotyping yapmadan. Bunun arkasındaki sebebini de tek bir kalıba koyamayacağımızı size göstermek üzere. Bir tanesi bayağı kilolu bir çocuktu. Ve inanılmaz dışa dönük ve inanılmaz konuşan. Yani başladığı zaman mümkün değil durmuyor. Çünkü zihni sürekli aktif. Bu bomba yapan çocuk. Dersleri kesinlikle çok düşük. Hiçbir şekilde yani geçemediği dersler var yani. Hani zor, yazısı kötü, Türkçesi, okumasında sıkıntılar var. Twice exceptional gibi yani aslında biraz disleksik gibi bir çocuktu. Ama çok sağlam işte bomba yapımı, bu silahlar inanılmaz ilgisi vardı. Diğer çocuğu görmeniz lazım. İnanılmaz mı? Sanki karşınızda 50 yaşında bir adam var ve onunla konuşuyorsunuz gibi. Çok olgun bakışlar, duruş. Zayıf, daha içe dönük bir çocuk. Bu çocuk da fizikle ilgili şeyler yapıyordu, çalışmalar yapıyordu. Sınıf öğretmenleri onları eşleştirmişti yani en azından zihinsel olarak birbirlerini doyursunlar diye. Ama demeye çalıştığım şey yani hiçbir şekilde stereotip ettiğimiz kılıf olmaz bu çocuklar. Yani içe kapalı olurlar, fiziksel olarak weak olurlar. Hayır, tam tersi de olabiliyor. Bu örneği size onun için verdim. Hani bu stereotiplerin bu kadar geçerli olmasına bu anlamda gerek yok yani. Okay, underachiever. The term underachiever is what we use while referring to giftedness because when we define underachievement, there is a discrepancy. This means that there is a discrepancy between potential and the achievement. This is like I have the potential, but I'm not able to convert it into a performance level. So these students can fail to achieve at a level consistent with their abilities for a variety of reasons, including low expectations, lack of motivation, family trauma, other causes. This is the child I have mentioned to you who was trying to make bombs. He was an underachiever. He wasn't able to put all of his potential in front and to convert it into a potential. If you're able to do and construct a bomb, this means that you must have some basic maths and physics knowledge, right? He had it, but he wasn't using it in class. You will see that underachievement will be inevitable in most gifted cases, but one way of preventing or responding to underachievement is allowing these students to skip grades or subjects so that school becomes more nurturing and provides greater interest and challenge. Actually, most of these children are not very interested in school stuff, okay, because they are always thinking of something else rather than 2 artı 2 kaçtır problem. So in such cases, counseling, individual and family therapy are important in order to provide some possible alternatives for the child, and mostly in order to keep these children focused in class, we give extra materials. For example, we make them sit to the back of the class so we can allow them to make a puzzle or to draw something. Sometimes these alternatives are used for these children. And you already know about this twice exceptionality, right? We had talked about it a lot in class, but just for it to stay here, the education of students with both disabilities and special gifts is emerging as a field, and this is being twice exceptional. You already know about this. And the major goals of special education for twice exceptional students are identifying gifted and talented students with specific disabilities, and research and development, preparing teachers and other professionals to work with these children, and this requires improving interdisciplinary cooperation for the benefit of these children. And educators should consider the full range of programs for gifted and talented students, for those who are otherwise exceptional. Okay, you should foster both parts. You should encourage the ability and help develop the disability part. Okay, we came to the end of our topics. Thank you all for all your support throughout this semester. I think, as I've stated in my mail, we did a good job. And after the final, I think all of us deserve a very well holiday. And hope to see you, hope to meet you face to face in September. Take care. Bye bye.